My name is Srikumar. I happen to be the founder and CEO of the startup called BygC, and we are completely into job scaling for the banking sector. So that is what we are into. Just a quick background about myself, and that's important in the context of what we are trying to discuss today. I started my career way back in 1992 as a probationary officer with State Bank. Served there for about 8-9 years. From there, I moved on to HDFC Bank. And in HDFC Bank, I worked for about 18 long years. I quit in December 2020 when I was a senior vice president and I used to be the zonal head. I've handled zones in Karnataka and in Kerala. So 26 years of banking and spread between two of the largest banks in the country, one in the PSU sector, State Bank, and another in the private sector, HDFC Bank. So that is my background. And since January 2021, we started this company basically with the intention of helping young people look for appropriate jobs in the banking sector and what can help them get that kind of job. So that is what we are focusing upon currently. Right. So a quick background that was important because that you need to therefore appreciate where my thoughts are coming in from my experience basis these last 26 years. And if you happen to go through the profiles of our other founders, so my other two founder colleagues, they are all with 25 years plus experience in and largely in private sector banks, right? And why I say largely in private sector bank, that is important because today the job opportunities are mostly in private sector banks. PSU banks hardly hire anybody. They hire in thousands, whereas in private sector banks, hiring happens almost in lakhs, right? So there is a huge difference between the hiring and therefore the opportunities for you are largely existing in private sector banks. All our trainers that we have in our company are all people with at least 10-15 years of experience handling business roles in private sector banks like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank kind of banks. Right, so that was like a quick introduction and let's now get on with the subject. While we are going through this session, please feel free to ask your questions. Now, you have three different ways to ask the question. You can put it on the chat box. You can put it in the Q&A. And you can raise your hand and we can allow you to unmute yourself and join so that you can actually ask the question to us, right? So all three options are available and please feel free to use any of these three options all through the session. And if we are able to discuss some of those questions during the session, we will do that. Or otherwise, towards the end of the session, we'll take up your questions and try and answer each one of them. So that's good time for us to therefore start. I think we also now have a decent participation from a lot of young people, and therefore let's not waste further time and get it started. Okay. Right. So the topic largely is on career opportunities in the banking sector. Okay. So now what we are trying to cover today are the 7 key steps that will help you get a proper job and that will help you make a decent start in your banking career, right? And whether you take our help or not, these are things which you should be focused upon individually from your perspective, right? Whether you take any professional help or not, these things will be important for you to search and get a good job. And whatever I say today, whether you join our course or not, everything that I say today will be useful to you even otherwise. So there is no necessity for you to take up anything that we are doing. You can just follow this. It is not easy, but that's the way for you to look for a good opportunity in banking. Okay. So you must start by having an understanding of the career. What is this career all about? And there are lots of wrong perceptions in the market. So there are a lot of people giving you a lot of wrong advices. because banking has changed very drastically in the last 10, 20 years. So when I started my career in State Bank in 92, there were only public sector banks in India, right? And there, most of the work used to be operational. So when we started our career, all were ledgers. There was not even a computer in our banks those days, right? All the entries were being made in registers and ledgers, and so those kind of manual accounting kind of work is what people used to do. That then moved into computers came into play, and then instead of registers and books, the data entry started happening in the computer system, right? So the work changed from becoming a register filling or a ledger filling exercise for a banker. The work moved into computers. So nothing broadly changed except that the register was replaced by a computer. So that happened in the next 10, 15 years. That was the big change that happened from 1990 till say about 2005, 2010. But in the last 15 odd years, 10, 15 years, the computerization also moved into the next level. That is when mobile technology came in handy. Everybody started having a smartphone with them and a mobile phone with them. Once the mobile phone started becoming more ubiquitous in the sense that more and more people started having a smartphone with them, banking changed completely. And COVID was kind of the big item that happened in the last 2 years, which made people realize that banking is not a function of you going to the bank anymore. Banking is something which any one of us can do it sitting at home with a smartphone in hand or with a net connection, right? And if something like a cash is required, you can go to an ATM. Therefore, banking moved from an operational oriented role to a non-operational oriented job. And how did it turn out? We will discuss that as we go ahead. So this understanding of the career is important, and I'll take you through some aspects more about it. And because unless you get this right understanding of a career, you will search for the wrong kind of job, and you will always find it difficult to progress in your career. So keep this aspect very important, very clear in your mind. I'll discuss it a little more while we go along. Understand the job. So once you understand the career, then you will start understanding, okay, what is my role in this, right? That's the job part. What kind of work am I expected to do? Then once you do that, then the next challenge comes. Okay, let me figure out how to find out the vacancies. Where are these vacancies available? Are there vacancies? How to understand where vacancies exist? Because one of the things you will realize with the banking vacancies are, apart from the PSU banks, which anyway hire only very few numbers, none of the private sector bank actually goes out and puts a newspaper ad saying that they are hiring. And therefore, there is a huge problem in even knowing for most of you as to where there is a vacancy and how to apply. Anyway, we will cover some of these items a little while later. Then preparing your resume. While all of you understand the importance of it, we will cover that also. Preparing for the interview. How do you do your interview well? How do you prepare well for the interview? There are some tests for some of these banks. They also have some kind of tests, right? Not all of them. Some banks have a testing system. So how do you prepare for the test? And making the right start. This making the right start again is important for a couple of big reasons. Getting a job in a private sector bank is one part of the difficulty. Keeping the job is the second part of the difficulty, and that's a bigger part. You will be able to keep the job provided you are able to start decently and you understand how to make the most of the opportunity that you've got, right? So we will cover that also. So this is broadly what today's session will be all about, right? Okay, so understanding the banking career and your early job. Some of the questions that many people keep asking us, and therefore I have put that here. Sales or operations job, that's one important question that many people keep asking, right? So is it a target oriented job? Will I have targets? will I get my salary if I don't meet my target? Or if I don't meet my target, will I be sent home or I will lose my job? These kind of doubts and questions many people have in their mind, right? I will address this over time. So okay. This is the typical journey for you when you join a bank. When I say about a bank, the largest arm of banking is branch bank. So you see all these branches of different banks all around you. They are the setup which require the larger number of people, right? So I am specifically focused on the branch banking arm of it. So you get into an entry level job. The first 1 or 2 years is in your entry level job, right? So whatever job that you are getting into, you get into that entry level job. After about couple of years, then you move up as a personal banker handling some amount of HNI customers, some high-end customers. What do you mean by HNI customers? High-end customers, right? So for the next 2 to 4 years, so next the third and fourth year and fifth year. So this is not like it will be exactly 3-4 years, 2 to 4 years, right? It is just that approximately that's what you will end up spending in that. By the end of the second year, you hopefully will have become a personal banker. You would have started handling HNI relationship. So that will have a lot of sales involved, of course, some amount of servicing also involved, right? And by that time, you will also have started picking up some more of operational understanding of banking as a subject, and therefore some elements of that also will come. But largely it is a sales focused or a relationship banking focused role, the personal banker. Then after a couple of years there, if you are very good, then you can graduate into a relationship manager. That's a very high profile job in banking. Once you become a relationship manager, you end up getting much higher salaries. Your incentives go through the roof. You can actually earn much more money as a relationship manager. 2-3 years as a relationship manager, you are possibly ready for becoming a branch manager, right? So all of you understand what a branch manager is, and any branch is like the CEO of that particular branch. Then about 5-6 years, 7 years in that role, you can then become a cluster head, or cluster head is somebody who handles an area. Suppose your entire district, right? And in that district, all the branches come under him. And from there onwards, it is all management chain. From a cluster head, you become a zonal head, from zonal head to a national head, and then the MD, right? So those are the aims for a reasonably good person. And why am I showing you all this? Because once you are getting into a job, it is very important to get to know what is your future in that job. And unless you have a picture which is 5 years from now, what you will be doing, it will be a mistake for you to get into any job. You should look at your future. Okay, if I continue this way, where will I reach? And unless you have the clear picture, it will be difficult for you to kind of get the motivation to do well in whatever you're doing today, right? Now, what you will see here, the arrow, if you see, the arrow starts from personal banker onwards. So from a personal banker onwards, it is a full-fledged business or sales focused role in banking. I have not said anything about the entry level job. I have said that once you graduate into the next level, from that level onwards, it is a largely business or sales focused career that you will have. I will come to the entry level later, but this is your future, right? Some more understanding as to what kind of salary levels people end up in these different levels, right? At an entry level, typical salary is around 20,000. It is not exactly 20,000. Different banks will give you a different salary, but it is in the range of 20,000. Some people are 18,000, 19,000, 21,000, right? 22,000, something in that range. So that's the entry level salary. In about 2 years' time, you will be thinking of somewhere in the range of 25 to 35,000 kind of monthly salary in your hand, right? This is not including incentive. Incentive is extra. If at all there is incentive, that will be extra, right? This is only the salary. So from 25, 35,000 kind of monthly salary. You move up as a relationship manager after 4 years or 5 years, you become a relationship manager. Your salaries could be in the range of 30,000 to 80,000. Why I said 30,000, 80,000? Of course, towards the once every year your salaries will go up, and suppose you get a good opportunity, good break, and you move into that role. So these are the range of salaries typically that we see in the market, right? From there, so in about 5-6 years time, you become a branch manager, or 7 years time, or 8 years time. It is not like you have to become a branch manager in 6 years time. Some of you will become in 5 years also. Some of you will become in 7-8 years, right? Some of you will never become. Suppose you are not doing your job well, you will never become, correct? So you end up becoming a branch manager. Your salaries will be in the range of some 50,000 to 1.5 lakh per month, right? So then to cluster head, and therefore higher salaries and stuff like that. Again, why am I showing you the salary range? Again, because when you are getting an entry level job in a bank, you may not necessarily be very happy about the salary. But in about 5-6 years time, I can assure you that you will be one of the best paid employees amongst your friend circle. Because in a private sector bank, typically the salaries go up very, very fast. If you are doing reasonably well, above average performance, your salaries multiply much faster. Incentives are, like I said, extra, right? So keep this aspect in your mind, that I have not covered anything about entry level, but from the next level onwards, more of your roles are sales or business focused. A branch manager's job is typically sales focused, business focused. He carries business targets, and he has to achieve those business targets. And that is what a branch manager's primary job is, right? Now, we will cover as to what you will do in the entry level job. Okay. And this slide is important. Don't get too worried about what am I showing here, but don't even look at that. Listen to me carefully. Like I was explaining to you, that in the last 10-15 years, mobile banking has taken over in a big way. Smartphones are with almost everybody. Even a poor person in India today has smartphone, right? So, so the ability of banks to actually provide all the requirements of a customer on a mobile phone or an ATM or on the internet has gone up manyfold. So what now is happening, and this is the graph of my previous bank, HDFC Bank. The number of transactions that were happening in branches 10 years back in HDFC Bank was 20% of the customer transactions were happening in branches. When I say transaction, which means customers going to the branch to deposit cash or to withdraw cash or take an account statement or take a new checkbook or take a demand draft, those kind of things, right? They will walk into a branch. So those days in 2010, it was about 20% of the customer transactions were happening in branches. So there were people required to do some paperwork. By the way, when I started my career in 92, 100% of the transactions were happening in branches. 100%, right? From 90s, it was 100%. In 2010, it became 20%. By 2020, customers walking into, and this is, by the way, this is 2020 March, before COVID. COVID just started, right? By that time itself, the transactions happening in branches had become 3% only, which means that majority of the transactions were now happening on the internet and mobile. As you can see, 95% of the transactions. And this was 2020. I don't have the data for 2021 or 22, the COVID years, right? But you can very well guess that mobile banking and branch banking has become almost much lesser than 3%. And the net banking and mobile banking thing would have even gone up from 95 to maybe 97%, 98%. So branches, requirement of branches for doing transactional work, operational work has become very less, which means that people are not required in, employees are not required in bank branches to do operational work, right? So this is a typical bank job profile. As to, there are 4 different kinds of people that banks need. So let's start with one of the gray ones. I don't know whether you can see my cursor moving. There is something called collections that you will see. Collections are people who will go out and meet customers or talk to customers for recovering the loan that the bank has given them. So if you give a loan, then you want that money to be collected back from the customer, right? So somebody has to keep calling them to remind them that you have to pay, your due date is over, your so much amount is overdue, you should come and pay the money immediately. That's collections job. They will even go to the customer's house, check with them why they are not paying, they should pay immediately and all that, right? So that kind of work is done by collections. So there are some people required for collections in banks. There are some people required for credit. Credit are people who will sanction loans, people who will understand the uh, financial details about a customer and then decide whether to give him a loan or not. So some number of people, few people are required in banks who will handle this credit function. Some people are required to do operations. Like I said, it was 3% operational work, right? But even if it is something, people are required to do that work. Somebody will walk into the branch and deposit cash. Not everybody may go to the ATM to withdraw cash. There may be some poor people without smartphone. There may be some senior citizens, right? Or there may be some ladies. So some of them may not want to use net banking or mobile banking. Small number, but still some people do. So therefore, some amount of operational work still happens. So some number of operations people are also required in banks, right? Then you will see the large part is all business people. Business people means people who handle HNI relationships, people who handle sales. All these are the business people, people whose principal focus is to get more business for the bank, right? That's the majority of people in any bank. You go to any bank, if you take 100 people, you will find out that 50, 60, 70% of them are business oriented people, right? Whether you call them as sales or relationship bankers or whatever, but they are business oriented people, right? So this graph is important. And this is coming from the previous graph also that I showed you, that if you focus on getting an operations job in bank, yes, there are some jobs for operations, right? Nobody is saying no to it. The only thing is that there are only very few vacancies in operations, right? And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in India for the wrong reason wanting to get into operations role. So because the number of vacancies are less and lot more people want to get into that small number of vacancies, therefore it is difficult to get, right? Common sense tells you that it is difficult to get. One, there are very less vacancies. Second, there are too many people applying for them, correct? That is one aspect. There is another aspect why operations job is not necessarily a good option for you. What is that reason? Is this slide. Like I showed you that from personal banker onwards, anyway, your role will become sales. So even if you get as a teller or a cashier in the bank, after a few years, 2-3 years, you will anyway have to become a sales oriented person. You will have to do personal banking, HNI relationship banking, right? More and more of sales functions. So your future is only with a sales oriented role, and that understanding you should have. So if your future is going to be sales oriented, then why is it that you would not want to start with sales itself, especially if sales also has a lot more opportunities for getting into that job? There are lots of opportunities in sales. Not many people are happy to apply, and it is unfortunate, right? So competition is not very high. Competition is there. It is not that competition is not there, but it is not as high as it is for operational jobs. And therefore it is easier to get it. And anyway, it is the most useful skill for your future, right? Because this operation, what you see 3%, even that will keep coming down every year. After 4-5 years, some of these operational jobs will become redundant. Banks will close down those operational jobs. So then you will have to start searching for another job at that point in time. So some of the people then keep asking, is difficult, sales is difficult. How difficult is banking sales, right? And with my experience, I can tell you the following. I've just put some pointers to all of you. Every individual in a country needs a bank account. You know, even Narendra Modi was talking about Jan Dhan account and all that, right? Every poor people also, they made everybody to open a bank account, right? Every individual needs a bank account. Now, if every individual needs some kind of loans at different times, you may need a two-wheeler loan, you may need a car loan, you may need a home loan, you may want to take a business loan, you may want to take a personal loan, gold loan, agriculture loan, right? Every individual needs some kind of loans at different times. They need, correct? Every individual needs some kind of savings or investment options. You also want to make some small savings or big savings, whether in mutual fund, ULIP products, direct equity, bonds, debts, products, whatever, fixed deposits, right? Every individual needs a life insurance. 100% of the people in this country need life insurance, not just in this country, across the world. 100% of the population needs health insurance, right? Because health is expensive. And every individual needs good service, right? They also want somebody to help them properly. Why am I showing you the screen? If somebody reads the screen and understands what I'm trying to say, you will realize that sales is not that difficult in banking. Because if everybody needs your products, right? It is that people are looking for, so suppose somebody is looking to buy a car, he needs a car loan. By giving him a car loan, you are helping him and you are helping achieve your own targets and you are meeting your bank business goals. Anyway, the customer needs a car loan. There is no choice, right? It's only a question of whether he takes it from your bank or some other bank. And he needs good service also. If you are the person who can provide him good service, and if you can provide him the loan, why will he not take it from you? So what is so difficult about selling it? Selling a difficult product is difficult. I understand. But these are products which everybody needs, right? So, and if lakhs of people are doing it already in the banking industry, you know, it can't be that difficult. All of us have done sales in our life, and we can tell you vouch for the fact that it is not that difficult a job. I'm not saying it is a very easy job. By the way, no job in universe is very easy. If you want a good career, then you should be willing to work hard, right? So this is what I wanted to say. Now to just summarize, what did I say about the career and goals so far? Just read these lines. Banking is a great, safe and rewarding career. Probably all of you know this. More suited for customer oriented and sales profile. That's what I told you just now. Back-end operational jobs are both less in demand and less rewarding. Even the salaries in operational roles are lesser than in business roles. The operational roles are likely to be non-existent in the next 5 years because more and more of it will get migrated online, digital products and solutions, right? So less and less operation people required. Most roles in bank branches are sales-focused roles. Banking sales career starts with open market sales and moves to relationship sales and then team handling roles. Like I showed you that you become a personal banker, relationship manager, then you become a branch manager and a cluster head and all that, right? Banking sales is easier than what your friends will tell you. Okay, now suppose you have decided, okay, let me move into banking as a career. Then your next question comes, okay, now I have to find out where the vacancies are, right? So you want to apply. So now you have to first search for the vacancy, correct? Like I was saying, that no, you will probably not find a single ad in newspaper saying that the so-and-so bank is hiring and therefore please apply. Except government bank, PSU bank, no other private sector bank actually puts out an ad in newspaper saying that they have a vacancy. Placement agencies also don't work at junior level. No placement agency works helps you with a junior level role. And the banks also don't pay anything to the placement agency for junior level hiring. So no agency is also working in that area, right? So you can't go to a placement agency. Once you become a relationship manager and branch manager, then you will get placement agency help. There are placement agencies who work with banks and they will help you get placed in one bank or another bank, right? But at junior level, not a chance. So one of the options that you have is go to the website of the bank. You will see careers. There will be a career site in every website of every bank, right? Go and search in that. You may sometimes find vacancies in your area in because you may be from a different part of the country, and depending upon your location, the vacancy should be there in that location, correct? So have a look at that. And if there is some vacancy available, you can apply, correct? Uh, Another thing that you should do is try and have a LinkedIn profile created for yourself. So just like Facebook and Instagram and all that, you should also have a LinkedIn profile, because now you are into a professional world. You want to get into a banking sector. Uh, Follow those banks and identify some local seniors from their LinkedIn profile and HR profiles, and start following them. So that will give you a sense if some openings come up and something like that. They may put it. It is not like they will put it, but some of them will put up something, and therefore you will know some people, and therefore you can apply to those kind of job openings. So LinkedIn is another opportunity for you to look for. Mm, of course, you can also apply in places like Naukri and Monster, or those kind of Shine and all those places where the job portals basically, right? In the job portal, again, uh, uh, the next thing that you can do is to walk in. Basically, you can even go directly to a branch manager, visit a branch. Suppose you find an HDFC bank nearby, just go to the branch, meet the branch manager, carry your CV resume with you, and give it to the branch manager and say, sir, I'm looking for a job in the bank, and this is my resume. I'd be very happy if you find some time and uh, uh, can get me a interview for that. So that is another useful way for you to get your job. So walk into the local bank, right? Whichever local bank. And there's no harm in carrying your CV with you and just going there and giving it to the branch senior and say, I'm looking for a job, right? People will like that kind of forthrightness. That shows that somebody is very serious and aggressive, right? And everybody takes it in a very right way. References are the best option. So everything that I said just while putting it in job portal or following on LinkedIn, searching on the career site of the bank, walking in and asking, right? Out of all these things, if you know somebody already working in the bank, take his reference, and that will be the biggest help that you can get for searching for a vacancy. Then he will put in a word to their HR, and that HR guy, therefore, we may end up calling you, right? So this is one more way that you can actually, the references are the best option. So if you know somebody working in some good bank, then that could be a good way for you to get your resume at least forwarded to the right person. The problem in all this is largely that the banks do get a lot of applications. So if I get lots of applications, I am very reluctant to go through every one of them. I won't have the time to go through every one of those applications, right? So even if you are good, many times your resume will not even be seen by anybody. Nobody will see that resume. You applied also, but nobody will look at it. And that means that you may never get a call for the interview, right? And that is hard. And which is why references help, because in references, because I'm already working in the bank and I know you, then I tell my HR that HR is looking for somebody. Then I tell my HR, okay, my friend is good and he is from this background. I will get the CV and forward it to HR. Because I'm a colleague of the HR guy, he will look at my CV. And therefore, if you are good, he may call you for the interview. So therefore, there is a higher chance that you may be called if you have people who are already working in those banks, right? So these are the ways in which you can find the vacancies. Now, what do you do next? Of course, you will have to prepare your resume properly, right? And some basics are very important. Please keep your resume updated. Many of you have a habit that one resume was prepared 1 year back or 2 years back. You just keep forwarding every, right? Please don't do that. Please don't do a shabby job of sending the same resume to everybody. And somebody has been applying to some IT companies. They will have everything on software and technology and all, and IT companies and all. Then some bank interview also they are appealing. They send the same CV. How can you send the same resume? Right? There you must have spoken about some skill set on IT side or technology side. Now suddenly you are sending it to a bank. There again you are showing the word I'm interested in working in a software company, and you're sending it to a bank. right? Such things you shouldn't do. Maintain some common sense about how you prepare your resume. Recheck your mobile number in email, because once you put your mobile number in email, if in case the one second now. Yeah, sorry. So if in case they like you and they want to call you, if you have given the wrong email ID or the wrong mobile number, then you will not be reachable. And the third problem that happens is if HR calls you, you should take up the phone. Now you don't know who's calling. So some unknown number is calling your mobile. Please pick up the call. It might well be some HR of some bank, right? And young people do this mistake, which is why I'm telling you right now. And look at your emails for any email that has come from any of these banks or anywhere, if you're applying. Also look at your junk folder, because sometimes these mails go into junk or spam, right? So don't just overlook if something has landed up, unfortunately, in your spam or junk folder. Age and location preference should be very clear, right? You should, so if you are from some village, but you want to work in Bangalore, make it very clear that you want to work in Bangalore, correct? And age should be very obvious to everybody. Experience, skills, and education. These are the other three items that you will cover in your resume, right? What's your work experience, if any? If you don't have any work experience, so then you don't have to say anything. But if you don't have work experience, then the skill section becomes very important. Okay, I don't know, I don't have work experience, but okay, what other skills do I possess? Do I know something which will be useful to the bank? Just because I'm a BCom or an MCom or an MBA or a BBA or an MSc or a BTech or whatever, the degree is not going to help you get the job. Degree is only a filter. They will only check that you are a graduate or not, right? They have no interest in checking anything beyond that on the graduation side. So I saw somebody had asked a question on graduation saying, is a correspondence kind of course okay? So there are some banks for whom it is okay. There are many other banks that don't consider a correspondence course as valid. They consider a regular college minimum graduation degree, right? Some banks do accept even correspondence course graduation, right? So if you have done from an IGNU or something, even that is accepted, but in some banks only. If you are a full-fledged graduate from anything else, you can be a B Farm from BTech to MSc, BSc, MBA, BBA, BA, MCom, BCom. Anything is okay. The education is not very given any greater weightage than this. They only want to see that you're a graduate, most probably. Only in some banks, if you're an MBA, and that too of a slightly higher grade of college, you get a slightly better salary, slightly better salary. It's not unless you have done an MBA from a very high-end college, right? So otherwise, a skill section is very important if you don't have experience. If you are already doing something useful for the bank, then that may help you. Most people as freshers wouldn't have any experience, right? Then the skills part is important. What do you mean by skills? Skills are various additional certifications that you have done. So you have done an NISM certification. It is a mutual fund certification by SEBI and AMFI. You have done an IRDA certification. You have done some banking course, which is subject course, subject related items, right? These things help you because when you say I'm a MBA or a BCom or an MCom, there are lakhs of people who are MBAs and BComs and MComs, right? Those skill set that somebody acquires is very limited. Not many people do it. So if you do something like that, that will stand out in your resume. And if you do something like that, highlight that in your resume. That should come very clearly, come to the notice of the interviewer, correct? If you have any break, so many young people do this mistake that you join a job and after 2 months or 3 months, you quit the job. Then again, another 5-6 months, you're not working. Then again, you get another job. These kind of breaks in your resume are not, interviewers are not very happy seeing that. So it is not good, right? So try and avoid that. So experience and skills and education, as long as it is relevant. Like I said, relevant because suppose you have done some technology coding certifications and you are now applying to the bank. It is no use to the bank, right? So even if you want to say that in just one small line, don't like write an elaborate para on that, because the banker is not interested in your coding skills, right? If you're applying to a technology company, yes, it helps. Okay. So then the selection process. So as to now that you have applied and your CV gets selected, then they will call you for the interview, right? So some basic things, these are not big items, so I'm just not talking too much about it. You can read it. You should be in time. Don't be late for an interview, right? Somebody says 10 o'clock, at least 9:45, be there. Even if it's a Zoom interview, be there 10 minutes before. Never be late by even 2 minutes. The interviewer can be late, and they are usually late, but you should never take that chance. Be prepared for delays. Like I said, they will be busy in their normal work and they may delay, but you should not delay. And duration is hardly 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's all. Most interviews get over in 10 minutes, right? What do they ask? They will typically ask about yourself. They will want to know about you. They will want to know about your attitude, your experience or skill levels that you possess. They basically also want to check your communication skills, how good you are in talking. And especially if you are a little good in English, it helps. But even if you are not very good in English, that also fine. As long as you can speak well. And don't worry about grammar. Even if your English is not that great in terms of grammar, please put in adequate effort to just talk. People like people who are talking. If you go to an interview and keep quiet or answer in some one-line words or single word answers, somebody asks you a long question, you will answer, yes, sir. No, sir. Those are not taken very well, right? Give a meaningfully long answer. Not very, very long, but you should be able to explain your answer, right? So don't give a one-word answer. Talk. Do interview. The meaning of that word interview in English is people are exchanging views. One person is asking something, another person is answering. It is not a Q&A, right? It's an interview. So you should also ask, and you should also ask questions about your doubts about the job or the career. They will ask their important things first, but you will also get the opportunity to ask them any doubts that you also get. Dress formally. So don't wear sandals for an interview. Wear formal shoes, proper dark color trousers or formal dress. Don't wear very colorful dresses. Comb your hair properly. Some basic things are important when you go for an interview, right? Reply back in the interview language. As in, if they ask you a question, don't answer in Kannada, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, or whatever, or Gujarati or Marathi and all that, right? You should try and answer it in English only. After a few initial talking, if you are not very comfortable about one question and you want to answer it in Hindi or your local language there, then you ask the permission. But do that only for that one question. That where you are not able to explain fully in English, you want to talk in Kannada or in Hindi or in Tamil or in Marathi, right? You should use that opportunity at that time. But you should only ask for that question. Don't continue to talk after that in your local language. Right? Good English helps. So even if you don't have great English, please keep improving every day. Even now, please keep working on it. It always helps your career, right? I'm not saying it is mandatory for you to get a job or a good job, but it always helps. It's an additional bonus point for you. Some banks also do a small test. Some banks, not all. Private sector banks, they don't value test too much. But some banks like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank and all do a small psychometric test. A simple test of reasoning, numerical ability, English language kind of test. Most of them are online tests, some 1 hour, 1.5 hour long tests, right? You just have to pass the test. It is not required to score very high marks, right? But you have to pass the test. That is important. So when you have to pass the test, ensure that you keep a watch on the clock, because it is usually some 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So they will tell you the time. So please be careful that you are not lost in some items only. Try and complete as much as you can, because that is a way to clear some of these tests. And pass means something like 40-45% is good enough for passing. It will vary from bank to bank, but it is in this range, it is more or less okay. So you aim for something above 50%, you will be through. But you should above 50% in all of them individually. Numerical ability 50%, test of reasoning 50%, English language 50%, not only in one item, right? So the test is one test, but they will mark you separately on these items. Okay, now if you get this job after all this process is done, right, then it is important that you have to settle down fast in your career. And that's very critical, because getting a job is one problem, like I said. But if you're not doing well, if you don't handle the job well enough, in the first 5-6 months, nearly half of the people have to leave their job. So 40-50% of the people quit their job in the first 6 months, right? So getting a job is only one small challenge, actually. Keeping the job and doing well in that job is the bigger challenge. And that is what you should be focused upon. So which is what I meant by saying settle down fast in your career. Be ready for tough 6 months. The first 6 months are going to be difficult. And so it's difficult for everybody. So you don't have to worry about it, right? You just have to take it as a challenge. If it is difficult only for you, then only you have to worry, right? Uniformly, all of us in our life, we have all done these first 6 months, right? And I have seen for thousands and thousands of people their first 6 months. It is invariably difficult for everyone. So be ready. That's it. So take it up as a challenge. It is difficult for everybody. It will be difficult for you also. As long as you are mentally ready, you are okay. Early employees will get tracked more closely in their initial months till confirmation. So that is natural that they will want to check how you're doing very closely, right? Lots of sales, operational process, lots of products, or everything to be learned well. Only then you will be able to do well. So a lot of learning also to be done. At the same time, a lot of work also to be done, right? So it becomes therefore even more tougher, because you will think, I have to do so much work. After that, I have to do this also. But that's how life will be. When you get into a new job, life will be tough in the first few months, right? Be ready mentally, and then it is all okay. Everybody faces this challenge. Be a team player. Aim for more than what your supervisor asks for. Don't just do the minimum number. The supervisor says do this much. Don't do just that and say I'm happy, right? At least in the initial few months, that is the time when you create your first impression. Make sure that you try and ask him a little extra. Learn a little extra, do a little more than what he wants. That is one way to impress your supervisors and to make a good start to your career. You will get a job description, you will get a target sheet, you will get your incentive structure. Study all that very well. You should try and understand it very well, and then you will be able to maximize the benefit that you can get from the organization by doing this well. Get the right friends and mentors. Don't get a friend, somebody who is underperforming in your organization. He is doing badly in the organization. Don't make friendship with him, or don't take mentorship from him. Of course, he is having a bad time in the bank, right? Go and have a mentorship or a friendship with somebody who is doing well in the bank, right? It is common sense, but many people still do this mistake, which is why I'm telling you this. Some more do's and don'ts. Take advice from seniors who have done well in their careers and not from those who are struggling. I just now said, be professional in your approach and create your own brand. Basically, you have to become a brand. You have to start propagating yourself. And that is how everybody makes a career, not just in banks, in any industry. Attitude is everything. Attitude is willingness to work hard, that I will do it, sir. That kind of an attitude, right? Things will be difficult. But you will have to say, sir, it may be difficult for everybody. It will be difficult for me, but I am ready to do it. Improve your communication skills. It always helps. Always helps. Keep improving it. Network with maximum people. Get to know a lot more people. It always helps. You will be able to develop your career. You will get more opportunities if you tend to know a lot of people in the industry. Create your LinkedIn profile. I told you so. Don't jump jobs often. You don't just keep quitting and jumping. Be straightforward in your resume and interview and your career. Don't lie. You will be caught, and once you're caught, you're doomed after that. So never lie to a senior person. Take up challenge and special projects. Your supervisor says it's a challenging opportunity. You should say, sir, I can try. I can't promise you, but I can try. Okay, get close to maximum good customers. That also helps. Once you have a network or a lot of good customers, the banks will also start valuing you more. Right? Okay, so now how can we help you? So we are a STD partner. Forget the name. It's called as hire, train, deploy. That's a model that many banks use for fresh hiring or junior hiring, right? We are a STD partner for banks like HDFC Bank, DBS Bank, CSB Bank, DCB Bank, Equitas Bank, and HDFC Securities. These banks are all so we have MOUs with them and we work very closely with them. Apart from that, our alumni, people who have studied from us, also work in banks like Axis Bank, FinCare, IndusInd, Yes, ESAB Bank, among others. And we work on a very simple model, 100% job guarantee or 100% fee refund. We don't keep even 1 rupee from you if we are not able to get you a good job that we promised you. You don't get the job, we return you everything that you paid us, 100%. We don't keep 1 rupee. All the training knowledge is yours, free, if you don't get the job. Last 2 years of existence, fortunately, we have not had to give a refund to anybody so far. Right? So we are sure that it will not happen in future, but suppose it happens, you get the 100% fee refund, not even 1 rupee we keep. Okay. Now, what is a fee? Whatever we do training, we help you find the jobs, we help you with the CV preparation, we help you prepare for the interview, and we provide you the skills which will help you to impress the interviewer and also to do well in your job, right? What is the fee? It is 25,000 plus GST. So 29,500, including taxes, right? More importantly, so if you want to compare us with other players, there are other players in the industry, by the way. It's not just we who do this. There are companies like Manipal University does it. Times Pro is a company which does it. NIIT is a company which does it, right? Imarticus is a company which does it. So these are all players who do similar kind of work like we do, right? For all of them, the total fees is more than 50,000 for all of them. And some of them are even costing 1 lakh and 1.5 lakh also, right? For similar jobs that you will get, right? Not the same job, but similar jobs in different banks. Like we mentioned about the STD partnership with HDFC Bank, they may be working with Axis Bank. Some of them also work with HDFC Bank, right? So you can see all their pricing online. You can go to their website and figure all this out. That their fees are roughly 50,000 plus, and ours is 25,000, right? Plus GST is 29,500. Secondly, all of them ask you to pay the full money upfront. You have to pay the full money immediately. 50,000, 60,000, 1 lakh, whatever is the fee, you have to pay immediately. Just like you go to a college, that you have to pay the full fees immediately. Here also you have to pay the full fees. How do we differ? We say that, okay, out of 29,500, don't pay us the full amount. Pay us only a token amount, 10%, 2,950. That's it. Pay this 2,950. Join the course, get trained. We'll send you a CV to different banks. We will ensure that you get hired by somebody. You get hired by somebody. You start working there. When you get your month 1 salary, then you pay us the first installment, month 2 salary, second installment, month 3 salary, third installment. So the balance fee, you have to give it as only installments, and that too only after getting job and getting the salary. No other company does that for you. No other company. You can go online and search anywhere you want to do Google search. You can do that. In the entire country, you will not get anything similar, right? Finest coaching. We say that because of our experience. So in none of these companies that I mentioned, whether it is Manipal or Times Pro or Imarticus or NIIT, you will find the same quality of people with the same kind of experience. Again, something that we can vouch for. Like I said, me and my co-founders have all worked for more than 25 years in major banks. All our trainers are people who have worked in HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank kind of banks for 15 years kind of plus. And you will not find such experience in any of these companies that I referred. Up to you to go and figure that out yourself. By the way, we are also coaching existing bank employees in some of the banks, not freshers. These are existing bank employees, and banks hire us for training their employees. We train in HDFC Bank, we have trained in Federal Bank, South Indian Bank, etc. Right? So that's like the quick background about us. The three founders, I'm not taking too much time. You can actually go online and figure out more details about us. You can also search our LinkedIn profile and you will get to know about us a little better, right? I'm not covering this. We also have a community forum app. It's a free forum. I suggest you download this app and see it for yourself. The app is called BygC. It is only available on Android. It's a free app. So please download it. It has only provides you free knowledge and some job opportunities also, only in banking. It doesn't get into any other field other than BFSI, right? Yeah, so that's it from me. Any questions from any one of you, I am free to answer.